during a recent debate over Nebraska's fetal heartbeat bill, which would ban abortion after 6 weeks in most cases, a right-wing lawmaker decided, during this debate to quote the Bible. And, I'm going to show you the reaction.
With a brand new baby in her womb. Mary and her new baby in her womb, she approaches Elizabeth, and John is in Elizabeth's womb. And the Holy Spirit is communicated in some miraculous, incredible way from the womb of the Virgin Mary and Jesus Christ himself to the womb of Elizabeth, John the Baptist, and John leapt. And that is why abortion is clearly evil. And that is why abortion is clearly evil.
He had to go for take 2, and still, people are laughing at him. Wow. Hey, you know what? That was State Senator John Lowe reciting Luke 1:1. Ooh, is that the one where he gets the lightsaber? Okay, by the way, in my opinion, just as true as the Bible, Star Wars. Cool story, bro. Explain, though, why your book, should be deciding the reproductive rights of people in your state. And please explain to me why your book should apply to everyone, especially people who don't believe in that book. And by the way, the same book that he's quoting is actually incredibly contradictory when it comes to the topic of abortion, when a life begins, all that stuff. There's even a passage, I believe it's in Numbers, where it instructs the reader in how to formulate a mixture to induce abortion. I mean, look, in that regard, it seems like God would be, pretty pro-choice. And by the way, isn't the whole idea of Christianity pro-choice? I mean, I hear this argument, well, God is giving you free will in order to make the choice that choices you want in life. And you can choose between good and evil. Okay, well, by definition, isn't that pro-choice? I mean, that's your belief system. It's not my belief system. And by the way, more importantly, or most importantly, it is not the belief system of the United States government. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that we should be forced to follow the Bible or any religion for that matter. In fact, it says the opposite, that the United States shall not establish any religion or prevent the free practice thereof. And so nobody's preventing you from not getting an abortion if you don't believe in it. That, again, is your right. Nobody's preventing you for speaking out against abortion. Certainly, I may think it's pretty distasteful. I think it's pretty, crappy when people are outside of abortion clinics that, are holding up signs calling people, women baby murderers and all that. But technically, that is protected by the First Amendment. That is freedom of speech. And so that is in the Constitution. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that you can use the Bible to strip away people's human rights, their reproductive rights, specifically the rights of women, cis women, non-binary people, and transgender men, who all have the capacity to get pregnant and can become pregnant people. Just pointing that out there. Just throwing that out there, to be inclusive and all. Even if it is kind of a cringe way to put it, at least it's inclusive and inclusively cringe. But that said, all right. Believe it or not, as much fun as we're having with this guy and his, obsession with the Bible, his argument, pretty quaint. And actually, okay, fine, whatever, compared to the next one that I'm going to show you.
We have killed 2,000 babies since abortion became legal. Those are 2,000 people in the state of Nebraska that could be working and filling some of those positions that we have vacancies. They're not here. Our state population has not grown except by those foreigners who have moved here or refugees who have been placed here.
Oh my God! He admitted!
That was State Senator Steve Erdman. You heard him going full replacement theory. Those immigrants, man. Our state population, white babies, it's not growing, and all we're doing is we're just getting these immigrants. And you wonder why they say
The Republican Party's racist.
I can't figure out why. I just can't figure it out. But again, this guy saying the quiet part out loud. And by the way, I am surprised that he did not refer to the babies, because that's what he said, babies, right? As a domestic supply of infants. We want to talk about language, right? Messed up language, dehumanizing language, domestic supply of infants. Specifically, again, white infants, Nebraska, 85% white. Now, there was another hint in there that was very problematic, which he could have actually used the phrase human capital stock instead of babies, because as he pointed out, if they hadn't been aborted, they would be working and filling the vacancies so that we didn't have to bring in those dirty immigrants. Oh, did I say that? What? Did I say that? Look, speaking of vacancies in labor, by the way, and caring about the children, because there is a pretty big connection here that I would love to point out to you. Recently, a Wisconsin-based company, just wait, that provides workers to clean food processing plants, meat packaging plants specifically, paid a $1.5 million fine for illegally putting 102 children to work in dangerous jobs at meatpacking facilities, including ones in Kansas and Nebraska. Oh, oops. So, look, am I okay with a kid getting a summer job? Yeah, of course. It's summer job, make some extra cash, on your summer if you want to do paper route or whatever. This ain't it. What this is, well, let me tell you what this is. This is Packers Sanitation Services. Again, they paid $1.5 million to the Department of Labor after an investigation found that it illegally employed children in dangerous jobs in 8 different states. Jobs that were cleaning devices like back saws and head splitters using back saws and head splitters. Imagine being a 13, 14-year-old. Clean a head splitter. If you're not familiar what that is supposed to do, I think it's pretty obvious. You were literally splitting heads. Can't see a drag show, though. That's harmful to children. But seeing that kind of mutilation and slaughter of livestock, totally fine, not damaging at all on a child's psyche. Yeah. And by the way, it's not just that. Look, there were basically cleaning these, implements, tools with caustic chemicals that could cause burns. In fact, at least 3 teenagers ended up suffering injuries as a result of their work in this very fast-paced, literal slaughterhouse environment. Packer Sanitation employed the most child workers at a place called JBS Foods Facility in where? Grand Island, Nebraska, where DOL investigators found 27 minors working. Packers also had children working in plants in both Gibbon and Omaha, both in Nebraska. Hey, everybody, we love the children's, but we only love the white ones. And only so, the poor white ones specifically can be put to work, helping the rich make money. Look, there's a lot of things that go into the right wing's obsession with fetuses and wombs. There's the control angle, of course, controlling people's uteruses, sure, definitely a part of it. But there's also the, as this guy mentioned, Erdman, that, well, we need to make sure that, the white people maintain the majority. Yes, we have to, look, we can't repopulate our, our country with other people's babies. I mean, again,
Oh my God, he admitted.
and look, while that's going on, they also ensure, by lack of investment, that families stay poor. And look, if you're low income and, unfortunately, like you get pregnant, or birth control fails or whatever, you don't get access to it. Do you ever have a chance of leaving the, low income status? There's a chance. Sure, there's always a chance. But the more children you have, the more expenses that you incur, of course, because children, are expensive. The most latest, I believe, estimate of how much money it takes to, how much you're expected to spend on a child, each child, from, birth to 17, is about $302,000. Not very likely to get out of poverty when you have more and more children because of the lack of, reproductive choice. And then, by the way, by design, because guess what poor kids add? A cheap source of labor for these meatpacking plants and corporations. There's a lot of reasons, as I mentioned, why Republicans push to restrict reproductive rights, but again, none of them are really based on protecting children, protecting lives. If you would do so, you would actually try to reduce unwanted pregnancies in the first place. Again, through comprehensive sex education and available birth control measures. But see, the same people who push these bans all the time generally also tend to refuse to give people who are low income and, have children, families, to give them welfare benefits. They also refuse for those who, again, have to be given up to adoption. They don't allow LGBTQIA plus people to adopt them. Something about, what they're gay. We can't, no, they need a mother and a father is what they need. And so they'd rather allow those children to end up going to one of the last stories that I did earlier in the show was a Republican in South Dakota, I believe, that adopted a young indigenous girl and then sexually abused her for years. I'd rather a gay couple. They're much, much safer, children are, with a gay couple than with some of these so-called, pro-life, pro-family Republicans. They also refuse to, by the way, fund healthcare, fund education, and allow more and more gun violence to happen in schools, theaters, malls, and of course, in the home. Gun violence, number one killer of children now. Ain't drag queens. It's guns. Gun violence. They also, by the way, push fake science, which is always fun. This Nebraska Heartbeat Act, which they're debating, would ban abortions once cardiac activity would be detected. However, medical experts, people who actually know what they're talking about, point out that there's at 6 weeks there's no heart. It just literally doesn't exist. There's no heart to generate a heartbeat. Not real. Instead, the embryo develops a tube that generates sporadic electrical impulses that eventually will coordinate into rhythmic pulses. 6 weeks of pregnancy, by the way, is also closer to 4 weeks of actual fetal development, because pregnancy is measured from the first day of a woman's last period. That is before she is actually pregnant. So, but you know, hey, look.
Just forget about the evidence.
We don't need the evidence. We don't need science. We don't need facts. No. No, what we need more white babies to work in the meat packing plants or to go off and die as soldiers for corporations. It ain't me saying that. It's them.